Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session today. Thank you so much for being so prompt and on time. We're going to be talking to you today about embedding Microsoft 365 Copilot at scale, and specifically talking to you about how actually the real work starts after launch. Know that and appreciate there's a lot of excitement of onboarding Microsoft Copilot, but yeah, there's a lot of work to be able to make sure that it's a continued success. But before we dive in, I'll introduce myself and then I'll hand over to Vicky. So I'm Archie Clark. I'm a change manager at Inform. I've been at Inform for just over 4 months, working on all manner of Copilot projects. And I'll hand over to Vicky.
Hi everyone, I'm Vicky Mee. I'm also a change manager at Inform team. Been here around 6 months now, working with all different types of clients, just like Archie. So lovely to see you all.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vicky. Okay, we have an action-packed agenda for you today. So we're starting off with the welcome, which is where we are now. Then we'll look at what the reality actually looks like post-launch. Then we'll look at how we make change stick. So what works from our perspective, what we've seen work. Then we'll look at a couple of examples of some real-world insight. And of course, we will have time for Q&A and discussion at the end if there are any questions. So without further ado, the purpose of today is to uncover what it really takes to turn the Copilot switch on into lasting organization-wide transformation. So we'll start with the reality post-launch. And again, there's a lot of excitement post-launch. However, we're going to start off with a little poll. So hopefully you're all familiar with Slido. If you're not, that's not a problem. I can talk you through the steps. You can either scan this from your phone, so you don't need to sign in or log into anything. You can scan the QR code from your phone, or if you're on your laptop, you can go to slido.com and enter the code that's on the screen there. So it's 2881494, and I can see we've got participants already typing, which is fantastic. But really interested to hear from you on the call. What are the key challenges that you've experienced to date after the rollout of Microsoft Copilot? And I'll stop sharing this and I will share the other screen because we're already getting some people typing, which is fantastic. And I should have mentioned this is fully anonymous, so please feel free to be honest. We've got a couple of things in here. So ongoing support for changes, recognizing value contributions, absolutely, completely agree with those. Continuing to expand and evidence the benefits and efficiencies, absolutely, that's a big, difficult issue. Reluctance to use, is this going to replace me? Yeah, there's still a lot of concerns and a lot of fear, especially after you roll out Microsoft Copilot. And that's why change is so important as a tool and a mechanism to make sure that people are feeling seen, heard, and valued, and that the change is happening with them rather than to them. Sorry, Vicky, I don't know if you wanted to come in.
No, I was saying we have Steve in the chat. We only have a few staff with trial licenses. It hasn't been rolled out in air yet, as far as I'm aware. Let's see. Measuring the impact yet. Got a few more typing. Lack of engagement.
And thank you so much for the engagement with this. So I think it's clear there are a lot of potential pitfalls of what can happen after the excitement of Copilot. So I'll go back to presenting the slides, but really appreciate the input. 1 second, let me just reshare my screen. Fantastic. And I'll hand over to Vicky to run through what are some of the key challenges that we've experienced in terms of after the rollout of Microsoft Copilot.
Thanks, Archie. Yeah, looking at the responses as well, but these are some common key challenges that we found with clients, and I feel some fit into the themes that have just been sent through in the Slido. Starting with habits, one of the hardest to break, so getting people to try new things, staff being unsure when to use Copilot, when not to, that kind of thing. So how it can be used uniquely to them in their teams. Also with training, now while generic Copilot training can absolutely be helpful, especially when you're giving more broad instructions or exploring its capabilities, that sort of real magic happens when you tailor it. So when teams receive training, prompts, user cases that are specific to their roles, it doesn't just make Copilot useful, it makes it more relevant. So it shows that we've taken the time to understand their world, their challenges, and how Copilot can support them day to day. So that sense of being heard and supported is what drives real engagement and adoption at scale, in my opinion. Also, we have champions lacking clarity and confidence. So having that ongoing guidance, support, enablement. So having the resource to support that is also paramount to success. And finally, adoption isn't measured properly. I saw someone put down the slide there as well. And I do think those adoption scores, those graphs going up are really important. I do think ensuring that you get that baseline at the beginning and running a comparison, let's say post Champions launch or pilot, for example, it's really great to see. But thinking at scale, so to keep the interest up, I think it's really important to get stories, get challenges, and share with others how you overcame said challenge as well. So having that conversational feedback, working together, and most importantly, to share it. So share the stories and share your knowledge. Anything
And
else to
from
add from you, Arch? Oh, go on, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I think from my personal perspective, it's that third column there. So it's the metrics that quite often get forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be my recommendation is when you're starting to roll out Microsoft Copilot, think about the types of things that you're wanting to measure. Because again, and we're going to keep saying this throughout today's session, we fully understand how exciting it is to get your hands on Microsoft Copilot, start using it for all of the wonderful things that you can do. But if you don't have those baseline metrics, you can sometimes be 3, 6 months down the road of using Microsoft Copilot. It's very difficult to measure actually how far you've come. And you can get very complacent quite quickly with, okay, everyone's using Copilot, that's great. But actually, it is a tool that people have to change the way that they're working. They have to change their everyday lives at work, quite often with the way that they use it as well. So I think there's real benefit with having those metrics so that you can track all of that information. Okay, thank you so much, Vicky. Moving on to making change stick. And again, what works? So in terms of what works with making change stick, the first element is shifting from awareness to habit. So it's no longer enough for users to just know Copilot exists. Again, it's great that they know it's there. It's great that they know how to use it, and it's great to know that it's available to them. But what's most important is actually that they know how to use it meaningfully, regularly, and confidently. And this is one of the big things. Again, there's usually a lot of fear when any new tool is introduced into an organization. I'm sure you've all seen it in your own organizations. It could be a new HR system. It could be the move to Teams during the pandemic, which a lot of us have experience of moving from things like Skype or even in-person meetings to Teams. So having that comfortability and shifting from that awareness to that habit is super important so that people can use it confidently. And again, as Vicky mentioned already, having use case driven campaigns makes it really real for people. And it's that element of what's in it for me. So by applying it to real use cases, again, you're getting those light bulb moments in the room where people can say, I can actually see myself using this with X, Y, and Z use cases during my week, which is going to save me an awful lot of time. And we've got a couple of example use cases there, which we see as the most popular with the clients that we speak to. So, for example, summarizing meetings, we use that pretty much every meeting that we're in. And again, can't understate how amazing that feature is. Drafting comms and managing inboxes as well. And of course, the use of champions and coaching to equip those champions with the role model usage, etc. But conscious of time, moving on to the second element is supporting every persona. So again, Copilot means different things to different people. There is no one size fits all with this delivery approach. So you need to make sure that you are applying practical ways to be able to make it applicable to different people. So again, that's where that tailored training really comes to play. And one of the elements I'm really passionate about is accessibility as well, and making sure that those with accessibility requirements or accessibility needs in an organization have what they need to adopt Copilot effectively. And we've run sessions on being able to do that as well. For example, there it says so having either slower pace sessions, so giving more time for people to ruminate, think about what you're talking about, or offering it in an inclusive format where you've got subtitles or similar things to be able to help people with that. And then last on the second column is executive enablement. So don't overlook the executives. They may have been the people to sign off on the purchasing of Copilot licenses or even the use of Copilot in the first instance. But it should definitely be a top-down and bottom-up approach. Don't forget about the executives. They need support as well. And quite often they're the most time-poor people in your organization. So they will be some of the people who will benefit most from the capabilities of Microsoft Copilot. And moving on to the third column is measuring adoption meaningfully. So again, you'll see quite a lot of similar themes of what we've already spoken about throughout this. So hopefully the repetition helps. But success shouldn't be defined by who logs in, but actually by how it's actually helping people. What are those real use cases? What are the time savings that can be tracked in order to be able to identify the power and the benefit of Microsoft Copilot? So I think in all, again, there's lots of different ways of making change stick. There isn't no one size fits all, but hopefully this has helped to add a little bit more information and a bit more flavor on some of the different ways that you can do this. Vicky, anything else to add?
The only thing I will mention is that time savings, productivity gains, all really important, obviously. And measurement's important, but also remember sometimes, and when we've worked with clients, that it's not always about time savings, it's improving the quality of work. It could take around the same time, but the output is better. So I just wanted to mention that bit as well.
That's absolutely right. And yeah, what we're also seeing is the rise of power users. So don't want to go off too much off topic on this one, but a lot of people who had specific roles currently in an organization. So, for example, a comms lead, all they do is comms. That's fantastic. With the power of Microsoft Copilot, they're able to do other things in that role as well because it augments their ability to do other things. So they could do comms, but also they could do potentially content creation as well. So you can create videos, you can create assets as part of Microsoft Copilot. Again, there's a bit of a rabbit hole, but I think you're right, Vicky. It's not just it's not just necessarily money and time saving. It's also how is it actually benefiting their day to day as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Vicky, I'll hand over to you to take us through the real world insight.
Thank you. So if we go to the next slide, there we go. So this is a real world example of a plan on a page, but the activities have been made into more generic ideas. So we haven't got the specific activities for that said client. Feel free to take a screenshot, take some ideas, but this gives some good examples on some work that could be done straight away post-launch. Let's say we're starting it today, you can see it's in September. So this is assuming that you have a champions network, but maybe the champions aren't as engaged as they could be. Maybe some more buy-in is needed from leadership, and an understanding of how Copilot is already adding value. So having a look at the first month there, September, so around building clarity and confidence, and that could be through, we mentioned tailored sessions, making it relevant to them, champion onboarding and practical quick wins. In October, we have empowering champions and leaders, so creating consistency, strengthening governance, and also showcasing Copilot strategic value. And then in November, we've got drive confidence, and how you can do that again through more tailored guidance, celebrating wins, and keeping that Copilot conversation alive. And then in December, that's where we'd need to validate the impact, capture those insights that we've found over those months, set the stage for your organisation's future with Copilot and your journey. And you'll notice at the end there's an evergreen box in the purple. So that is just to represent that the journey doesn't end there, doesn't end here. So we all know that there's always new advancements and changes made that you need to keep on top of. And it would be important to then map out what 2026 could look like from said findings in these activities. And then in the bottom there, I've separated like governance and security tasks. That's really just to show it's always considered throughout, and it's something that you should always consider. If there's any questions, please let me know, pop them in the chat. But Archie, is there anything you want to add on there?
I think so it's a great summary. Thank you, Vicky. I think the only thing to add again is just to say that there's no one size fits all for organizations. So again, this is a fantastic plan on a page, but I think it's always important to try and be as flexible as possible, and to have mini review sessions potentially on a monthly basis if we're looking at this from a monthly perspective. See what's working, see what you might potentially need to pivot, see how you could actually work with your Copilot champions to be able to deliver a particular piece of training that people are struggling with. I just think that flexibility element is key to encourage here as well, and to just keep reviewing the outputs and just see where you are with everything.
Perfect. Thanks, Archie.
No problem. Are there any questions in the chat? I can't see any.
No, I can't see any. Does anyone have any questions before we do move on? No, quiet.
That's fine. Somebody once told me there's the 8-second rule. It's the 8-second
okay.
awkward silence. So you've got to listen to. Okay, that's absolutely fine. No problem. So we'll move on to the next slide. And again, this is something that all of us at Inform are passionate about, but me especially, as you can see me in the photo. So another big tip and a big piece of advice, which I'm hoping to give you all today, is to just try and make the change memorable. And Vicky's spoken about a couple of different ways on how you can do that. One of the big ways that you can do that is stories, and memorable events and things like that. So this is a real life example, and this was myself. You can see in the picture there with my colleague Erica at the Inform team, and together we dressed as chameleons, which, if anyone didn't know, is our company logo is a chameleon. So we dressed as chameleons for a agentathon, so a Copilot agentathon event that we ran a couple of months ago. Nobody knew we were dressing as chameleons. We came in as chameleons wearing sunglasses and presented the session, as you can see at the front of the room, as chameleons. So again, a bit of a silly example. It doesn't always have to be silly, but I think the key takeaways here is you just need to try and make change that people will remember. So people won't remember every detail of a change strategy or implementing a particular new tool, but they do remember how that change happened and how that made them feel. So whether it's humor, whether it's excitement, whatever it may be, those memorable moments actually create that emotional engagement and support that lasting impact and lasting engagement and memory as well. And if your organization has been going through a lot of change, because I know that there's a lot happening in the world of Copilot and the world of AI, sometimes a touch of humor can actually help bring your colleagues out of that change fatigue as well. So yeah, it's just a great tool to use. I don't know if there are any questions. I did see a hand go up, but I don't know if it was an accidental hand.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be a react. They need to
Oh,
move
no
those buttons,
problem.
actually.
Are
But
there
no
any?
questions in the chat.
Okay, so we'll move on to Q&A. We are running slightly ahead of time, which is quite unusual for us. But I don't know if there are any questions from anyone or potentially memorable experiences of their own Copilot rollout.
Yeah, I was going to ask, has anyone tried gamifying the experience? Like we've done ones before, haven't we, where it's like a Monopoly style game or like with the chameleons. But if anyone has anything to share that could help others, let us know. Oh, we've got some people typing.
We've got a question from Tim. So Tim said, Vicky, how do you select or what are you looking for when you select champions?
So this is a good question, actually. It's best to think of them, I always think, like culture carriers. So they're not just like tech savvy, but they're influential, they're trusted, they're energizing. But also I have this other take on it where I like to try and get the ones that are a bit more not as enthusiastic, because if you can win them over and other people can see that, then it can have a good effect. But usually it will be those that are well respected by peers and they're a trusted voice in that particular team or function, and don't always get people from technology. Spread it out, get everyone involved. But also those that have that curiosity and that growth mindset as well. So they're open to trying the new tools and ways of working. But like I say, it is good to get some that they're a bit cynical and then win them over, because it can have a really good effect on others. But that's how I usually choose them.
I completely agree with that. And I think it's a two-way street. So for champions, obviously they're helping with the rollout, which is fantastic, and that's what we need them for. But they're gaining a lot of experience as well. So when we work with champions, we teach them particular skills, or we have done with previous clients. We teach them like how to influence, how to story tell, and we give them those soft skills to equip them to help influence and to help relay this message across an organization. So selfishly, it develops them as well. But that's a great way to encourage them that it's not just all give, there is some take as well.
And John has said, do you have any advice on scaling agents? What skills are required to maximize the value opportunities agents present? Don't know about you, Archie. I do, again, start small and expand, beginning with a core group of champions who are well supported, visible, use their success stories to build momentum, to recruit more of those organically, and defining what agents do. But what do you think? Do you have any other
I
ideas?
do indeed. Yeah, so it's a great question, John. And bit of a shameless plug here. So we've recently launched our Agent Design Lab, which is a new offering from the Inform team, where essentially we can come and we can talk to you all about agents, and even have a session where we start to build up a set of use cases, and even start the ball rolling on actually creating those agents. So if you have any interest in that or any questions, I'm hoping Debs might be able to put the link in the chat. Sorry, Debs, to put you on the spot. But in answer to your question, I think the first step is having that use case session, because I think, again, there's a lot of excitement about agents at the moment. And the best comparison that I can draw it to is when SharePoint Online launched. And again, I'm sure a lot of you remember SharePoint Online launched, and suddenly there was a lot of excitement about it, and there were hundreds of SharePoints across an organization, which were created but then never used ever again. So I think that's something that we're trying to advise clients on at the moment, is to not discourage that excitement with agents, because we really want our clients to explore how to use them and start building them, but to have a real careful think about what are the best use cases, what's actually something that's going to have that longevity and going to last. So that would be my piece of advice in terms of scaling, is to start small, think what's actually going to last, think what are the real opportunities for agents as well. Hopefully that answered your question.
Said thank you. I think it did. And Deborah has asked, what's the first behaviour you look for to know that Copilot adoption is starting to stick? I mentioned about habits earlier, so where you can break a habit and get people using Copilot for routine work, like summarising meetings, drafting emails, and you hear phrases like, oh, I'll use Copilot for that, or let me ask Copilot first. That's one of the biggest ones for me.
I think for me, it's when people reach out to you, which we have quite often, where people reach out to you and say, you know what, after that session, I've actually started using Copilot. It's actually quite good. I use it for X, Y, and Z. And that's where you start to get those good news stories that we spoke about earlier. So what we then encourage with clients is to post that onto their intranet or wherever they share these news stories, because again, that good news multiplies and encourages other people to start using it for a very similar use case. But people will start reaching out to you and telling you what they love about the tool. They will also reach out if there's any issues, of course, but then that gives you an opportunity to get ahead of those issues and to work on fixes and to get it in a good place where everything is sorted out.
Yeah, and also it's no longer seen as an extra; it's just embedded. But that's where I start to see it. Emma said, I love seeing change programs which tap into people's natural competitiveness. People really care about those league tables. When I saw that, Archie, it made me think we were working together with a client and we created a quiz in the room. Everyone got so competitive, didn't they? But it really did get people energized and excited about it. They wanted to learn more about Copilot so they could get the questions right, so they could win their chocolate bar, whatever it was. But it does always work really well, I think.
And I think something that we've also seen is that competitiveness between departments as well. So especially when the adoption gets going and starts rolling out, one particular area may adopt more quickly than the other. And so you start to see directors or execs seeing that and getting competitive about the numbers of people using it and the types of things people are using it for as well. So it is infectious. And yeah, people definitely get competitive with Copilot. Are there any more questions? Have we missed anything?
No, let me just double check. I don't think so. Debs has shared the Agent Design Lab. Thank you. Please take a look at that if you're interested. But I can't see any other questions.
Okay, well, if there's not any more questions, so keep them coming if there are. Oh, I can see Tim is typing, but we'll move on to the wrap up. And Tim, we will come back to your question as well. So in terms of the wrap up and call to action, I'll hand over to you, Vicky.
There is. So just to recap, we all know that success doesn't end at launch. So we need to work hard and at embedding Copilot into daily behaviours and understanding people drive adoption. So having those champions, tailored support, guidance, so everyone's brought along the journey, and also measurement that we've been discussing as well. So time save, productivity gain, but also track sentiment. So how people are feeling about the change, who needs more support, and how has the output and work improved throughout the organisation. So we say that Copilot, the real power of it is not just from switching it on, but from switching people onto new ways of working. And we're here to help that shift real, lasting, valuable. We're on LinkedIn, both Archie and I, and we've also got a contact page on our website, theinformteam.com. So please reach out if you would like to have a chat with us. Anything else, Archie?
Nothing else to add. No, thank you. We're having lots of thank yous in the chat. So thank you so much for joining the session. time flies when you're having fun, but really appreciate you making the time to join us on this Wednesday morning, and look forward to speaking to you all soon. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.